The modern image of a fairy, small, sparkling, and harmless, is a recent invention. In the original Celtic lore, these beings were something entirely different, characterized by a dark and eerie power that commanded the landscape. Throughout rural Ireland and Brittany, historical evidence shows communities strictly adhering to traditions designed to avoid fairy paths in the fields. Families regularly left out physical offerings of food and milk as a necessary precaution for their survival. Why would these specific superstitious behaviors persist so stubbornly, even as the rest of the world moved toward a scientific age? The modern belief in fairies is actually the surviving remnant of a massive pre-Christian religion. By examining the details of these folklore traditions, we can reconstruct the ancient pagan rituals that still reside within the stories. Long before the concept of fairies, the Celtic world was ruled by the Tuatha De Danann. These were towering deities of agriculture, light, and war. Physical invasions by new tribes, followed by the cultural expansion of Christianity, eventually stripped these dominant deities of their power. This forced a physical retreat. The conquered gods moved into the ancient burial mounds, their architecture functioning as ritual spirit temples and transition points into the otherworld. Over many centuries, the cultural memory of these underground gods merged with the spirits of the human dead buried within those same tombs. The mythical underworld of fairies represents a geographic record of defeated gods residing within ancient burial sites. This history explains the first modern myth, the habit of leaving a saucer of milk on the doorstep for the fairies. This practice is a survival of a millennia-old food sacrifice. It was a tax paid to agricultural gods to prevent them from destroying a family's livelihood. A more unsettling myth is the Changeling, the story of fairies sneaking into a home to swap a healthy human infant for a fairy child. This represents ancient soul abduction, where a strict energetic balance required a one-to-one transfer of souls between realms. The Changeling myth gave parents a framework to process infant mortality, attributing their loss to gods filling a soul quota. Even the modern habit of using polite nicknames like the good people or the gentry has a functional origin. It stems from the Druidic concept of the taboo. Speaking the true name of a powerful entity was believed to act as a magical summons, drawing its dangerous attention to the speaker. These traditions, saucers of milk, the stories of swapped babies, and the polite nicknames, originated as tools to manage and appease terrifying natural forces. So how did these formidable human-sized deities eventually become the tiny winged creatures we see in children's media? Anthropologists observe a specific rule. As literal religious belief fades, a deity's physical size and stories decreases. We can track this transition. The human-sized Tuatha De Danann were gradually reduced in scale through centuries of folklore, becoming the miniature sprites of Victorian pop culture. The core of the fairy faith was preserved by scholars like W.B. Yeats, who worked to record these fading psychological traditions before they could disappear entirely. These surviving beliefs show that while a culture's religion can be replaced, its deepest instincts about nature and the mysteries of death are much harder to erase. The next time you see a fairy in popular media, remember that the image represents the final, enduring ghost of an ancient god.